Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Anu, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas. Precisely. It's a pleasure to be back here. Thanks for tuning in as usual. Please, if you are watching by way of the social media, that is Facebook or YouTube, go ahead, hit that share button. And let everybody know that the anchor man is not just live. He is indeed alive. You can see me and probably touch me from your screen. Thank you for tuning in from North America, Europe, South America, of course, the far and the near east, and wherever you find yourself watching by way of the internet. And for those of you watching all over Africa by way of satellite, good evening. Always a pleasure to come to you. Tonight, I come to you with a very, very excited subject to discuss, of course, as usual. And again, I expect for you watching by way of the social media, do your part, hit your share button as I come back really quick to give you insight into what I bring to you today. I'll be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level.
All right, thanks for staying put, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I bring you a very, very exciting interview with the attorney representing Tapang Ivor in his lawsuit against Salai Emmanuel's law firm in the state of California. But before I get to my guest tonight, something is happening in La République du Cameroon, and it is not unusual. We all have known for years about the corruption that takes place in that country when it comes to organizing political elections either be it in the Senate, Parliament, or the presidency. In October, Cameroon will be conducting elections for the position of the head of state. And recently, we received information. It is all over the social media. We have actually published the list on the ABS website. You go there, you will find that list. We have published the list where dead people are said to be endorsing the candidacy of Paul Biya for next president of Cameroon, actually for the eighth term of his presidency. That would have marked by the end of the day, that would be 49 years. That is, if he becomes the next president, if he doesn't die, he would have made 49 years in power. At this moment, he has made 42, excluding the years he was prime minister. But then again, if he would succeed to become the president in their next elections, then he must have clocked, ladies and gentlemen, 49 years in power. I have not seen where that happened. Consider America. Paul Biya came to power when Ronald Reagan was there. After Reagan, you had the Bush. After the Bush, the Clinton, the Bush again, and so on. He is still there. But this is my monologue. A scandal is brewing in Cameroon. One so grotesque that it should shatter any illusion of democracy still lingering in the minds of its citizens. A document containing over 500 alleged signatures for President Paul Biya's re-election has surfaced, and with it, the damning revelation that some of those endorsing Biya are in fact dead. Yes, dead people are signing motions of support for Biya. The implications of this scandal extend far beyond mere bureaucratic incompetence. If the names of deceased individuals have been fraudulently included in what should be a straightforward political endorsement, then, what assurances do Cameroonians have that the upcoming presidential election itself will not be similarly infested with non-living voters? If the dead can endorse, what prevents them from voting? This revelation follows a well-documented pattern in Cameroonian elections. The specter of electoral fraud is not new. In previous elections, opposition parties and observers have decided the rampant manipulation of voters' rolls, including duplicated registrations, ghost voters, and ballot stuffing. The National Elections Observatory has, in past instances, been little more than a rubber stamp for the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, or should I call it Undemocratic Movement, CPDM. The discovery of dead signatories in the pro-Biya endorsement list suggests that the same fraudulent mechanisms are still at play, ensuring that the outcome of the 2025 presidential election is preordained, already figured out. The timing of this revelation could not be more significant. President Biya, in power since 1982, has yet to declare his candidacy for an eighth term. Yet his son, Frank Biya, has been actively sponsoring public campaigns to inherit the throne. Meanwhile, Paul Biya himself remains conspicuously absent from public appearances, fueling ongoing speculation about his health. The government's hollow reassurances that a 91-year-old dictator is in excellent condition ring as false as the signatures on his so-called endorsement list. The exposure of diseased supporters is not an isolated incident. It is a symptom of a rotten electoral system that has long lost its legitimacy. In 2018, Cameroonians watched as Maurice Kamto, widely believed to have won that election, was sidelined through intimidation and blatant vote rigging. The 2011 and 2004 elections were similarly plagued by irregularities. Yet each time, Biya and his CPDM cronies emerged victorious, defying logic, mathematics, and democratic will. If fraudulent endorsements are already emerging a full year before the elections, what monstrous fraud awaits when the actual votes are cast? At this point, Cameroonians must ask themselves a vital question. Does this regime look like one that can be ousted through the ballot box? Every election cycle, the same charade plays out. A dictator who should have been long gone or vacated the stage manipulates the process to extend his reign, using a system rigged to ensure his perpetual dominance. The charade is complete. When international observers feign concern, but ultimately accept the fraudulent results. Elections in Cameroon have ceased to be a means of political change. They are a tool for the ruling elite to maintain their grip on power. The CPDM and the oligarchy it serves are beyond reform. The discovery of dead signatories is not merely an electoral scandal. It is proof that the system is too broken to be repaired. The solution is not another election, rigged or otherwise. The solution is a revolution. The Cameroonian people must recognize that true change will never come from the ballot box as long as the CPDM exists. The entire system must be dismantled, rooted out, stamped out. The corrupt elite that has pillaged the nation for decades must be ejected and eradicated in its entirety. Only through a radical and uncompromising movement can Cameroon break free from this circle of electoral deception. Anything short of that is just another performance in the tragic theater of tyranny. The choice is clear. La République du Cameroon needs a revolution, not election. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my monologue for tonight. When I come back, I will bring in my guest who will be speaking on the subject of Tapang's Ivo lawsuit against Insalai Emmanuel. Please stay put. I'll be right back.
Thrive America, the flagship model, offers personalized coaching and assistance to newly arrived individuals into the country through a concierge service and one-stop resource on your phone. The app supports essential areas of integration, such as job search strategies, benefits applications, financial literacy, credit repair, legal guidance, and more. The platform aims to become the go-to resource as you navigate the complexities of settling into a new country.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put out there. At this moment, I will be bringing you my guest for tonight. Before I get there, though, let me lay a little foundation here. About a week ago, we all learned of Tapang Ivo, one of the activists for Ambazonian independence struggle, filing a lawsuit in the local court in the state of California against Emmanuel Insalai's law firm, claiming defamation against his person. And here with me tonight to discuss what that lawsuit is all about is Tapang Ivo's attorney, Barrister Curtis Edmondson. Barrister Curtis, it's a great pleasure to have you here on the show, sir.
Good evening, Chris. Nice to speak with you.
Thank you. Let's delve into this. You have been handling some of these cases for quite a while now, because we know for sure this is not the first time that you will be handling a case on behalf of Tapang Ivo against Emmanuel Insalai. The first one, I think, was about a year or two ago, where you actually won the cases. I think there were two of them. You actually won them. But this time, Tapang Ivo is the one suing Insalai Emmanuel. I would like you to go back to the first two cases that you handled for Tapang Ivo. You won both of those cases, and now Tapang is going after Nsalai. What is Tapang telling you? What is the reason that he is suing Nsalai Emmanuel?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So I've actually been working with Ivo since 2018. It's hard to imagine that 6 years has already passed. In 2018, Ivo was sued by a number of unspecified people from the Cameroons, accusing him of terrorist activities, and that was in federal court up in near San Francisco. And we were successful in that case in getting all claims dismissed and getting sanctions awarded against his attorney, Emmanuel Nestle. And then that was followed by a second lawsuit, and this was during COVID, in Los Angeles Superior Court. So just for some background, we have two different court systems in the United States. We have federal courts and we have state courts. So this one was in California State Court. It involved an individual named Padi Asanga, who had allegedly was threatened by Mr. Tapang, even though Mr. Tapang wasn't even in the area. Mr. Nestle represented Mr. Asanga, and we were successful at that case in trial. Shortly thereafter, in federal court in Los Angeles, another lawsuit was filed, essentially claiming the same thing, that Ivo Tapang was a terrorist, and he was sued by a nonprofit of sorts, and we were successful in getting that case dismissed, and once again sanctions were issued against Mr. Nestle. Recently it came to our attention that Emmanuel has published a letter, and this was just within, I think it was January of 25,
right,
claiming that Mr. Ivo Tapang was a terrorist again, even though we've had two earlier court cases over the last 6 years saying he's not a terrorist. So, as in Mr. Tapang's right, he brought a claim for defamation under California law, which basically says that Emmanuel's claims that he is a terrorist is defamatory, and seeking damages as a result of that statement. So we're at the initial stages of this case, and I expect that it will be litigated. Well, it's March now. I'll probably be in front of a judge to preliminarily discuss the case, I think sometime in June or July of 2025, and that would be almost 7 years dealing with this issue. So even though we have two prior decisions that Ivo Tapang is not a terrorist, Mr. Nestle seems to think otherwise. And so that's why we're asking the court to make a decision on this issue.
Now, what do you make of the fact that this Nsala, of course, the statements that he sent out in January, which Tapang Ivo is referring to, in that statement, there were quite a handful of Ambazonians listed as terrorists, myself being one of them. When you look at such a statement, now those statements are sent to the State Department, they are sent to the FBI, they are sent to the Department of Homeland Security, and in some cases, he sends them to our local senators and congressmen or women. When you read that as a lawyer, without any substantiation, what do you make of it?
Well, that's interesting. It's really not up for me to decide. In the U.S. system, we have the jury system, and it might be the same also in the Cameroons, where those facts are submitted to the jury, and the jury makes that determination on whether it's defamatory or not. So my job here is to present the evidence the best way I can and have the jury make that decision. So, and that's the process we go through, and we defer to the rulings of the courts, the decisions of the jury. It takes a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, we get a determination of that, and we go along with that determination.
In your first case, representing Ivor against Nsalai, which you won, Tapang turned around and sued him for charges, court charges. Where did the man pay those charges?
On the first case, I believe he did.
He did pay the charges.
I believe on the first case he did. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Tapang is asking for $100,000 in charges for the current lawsuit. Salai, is he that rich to be able to afford $100,000 for a lawsuit?
Well, quite frankly, I don't know one way or the other. And the $100,000, it could be what the jury makes that determination. So it could be 100,000, it could be $1 million, it could be the number that the jury sees as fit. I think you're familiar with some of the recent cases in the United States involving news persons saying that there were shootings in Sandy Hook, and I believe that judgment that was entered was close to $100 million. So in the United States, we take claims of defamation quite seriously.
That is interesting. Again, as I just noted a few minutes ago, there are quite a handful of Amazonians who are in the list of Nsalai Emmanuel in the January statement that is circulated. What do you think about, I don't know, there's a terminology they use, action. Is it John Action lawsuit? What do you think about Amazonians coming together and saying, hey, Emmanuel, you have defamed all of us. We are all coming together to take you up on these your defamations. What do you think of a joint action lawsuit by all those mentioned in that list? And it will interest you to know that some of them are actually dead. Some of the people listed there are dead.
Well, I think what you're referring to is, we call it in the United States a class action lawsuit.
Class action, correct.
Right. And, you hear a lot about class action lawsuits. This is not necessarily a case that is necessarily good for class action, because each individual person, their damages are viewed differently to their reputation. So it's unlike most class actions are consumer class actions, where some party has maybe deducted $1 from your bank account and they've done it to 100,000 people and it's all the same damage. Here, each damage is very particular to the individual plaintiff. So I think it's highly unlikely a class action lawsuit would be allowed. But that doesn't prevent the individuals from hiring counsel and bringing their own actions against people who have defamed them. So. Your audio feed, so I didn't hear what you had said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think my microphone was muted. This is my question. It is also known that I think I have read stories where it is said that the government budgets for him to pursue these cases. The Prime Minister of Cameroon only last week, I think that was March 18, at a conference said they have succeeded to prosecute separatists in the diaspora, and some of them are in jail. Of course, these are the efforts of Emmanuel Nsalai. But in the United States, he is not known as a registered agent of Cameroon. Doesn't this go against the laws of the U.S.?
Well, Chris, So in the United States, many claims can only be prosecuted by the state. And so that type of claim is something that's reserved to either the U.S. Attorney's Office or the state prosecutors. I'm just a civil lawyer, so I can't comment one way or the other whether he has to be an agent or not. And then with regard to everything else, we have a formal process of discovery. So if he's made certain claims since this case has been followed, we'll ask him for that evidence that he's made those claims. And it's a fairly straightforward process. Like I said, it probably takes about a year or so, year and a half to get to trial. And then on a case like this, you might have a 2 or 3 day trial. Although I have been involved in defamation cases where the trials have gone on for 3 or 4 weeks.
Right. Has Emmanuel been served?
He has.
He has been served.
Yeah, I just got notice of service this morning.
Okay, so what is the next step now after he's been served?
He will have to answer the complaint.
Okay. And when would you expect the first court appearance?
We'll have the status conference, I believe, in June. That's my experience with the Central District of California. It's usually 2 months after service.
Is this a jury trial or a court trial? A judge trial?
Either side can elect jury in this case, or they can go to a bench. Typically, defamation cases are jury trial cases.
Okay. Now, this is filed in the federal court instead of a local court in California as per the former cases. What's the difference?
Not much difference. You can bring claims in federal court that are state causes of action like defamation when the amount of money at controversy exceeds $75,000. So.
Okay. What would you say to, because again, you have been involved in this for a while now, probably going to four years, and this guy just keeps on doing this. The last time you defeated him in court, it was over him. The court realized he is in the habit of filing frivolous lawsuits. What would you say to those who have been victim of this guy in this form of filings? Because, I mean, there are many of us out here would have just not done it because we think we better spend our money is better spent somewhere than pursuing Emmanuel and Salai in court. So what would you advise those who are without our circle but who fall victims to Emmanuel and Salai in these lawsuits?
Well, I would, as if with any claim, let's not talk specific to this case, but with any claim in the U.S., if you have a cause of action, ideally you talk to an attorney, or if it's a small amount, you can go to small claims court yourself. And the attorney will typically evaluate the strength of your cause of action, and then you can either bring a case against the defendant or not. So that's something that's provided for in the court system, and it works very well and works very efficiently in the United States. As they say in the U.S., the court systems provide resolution. They might not provide the result that you necessarily want. But it seems to have worked well for, I think, close now to 250 years.
Should he lose the case, is he in the position to appeal a jury trial?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's in a position to appeal the cases. And in this particular case, you would go to the Ninth Circuit, and they would look at it, and then theoretically you could go to the Supreme Court. But that's not It doesn't happen that often, really.
So it's possible to say he can use the appeal process to prolong and prolong and prolong the case.
Well, worst, it's highly unlikely that the case would go more than, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Right.
With an appeal. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, Curtis, it's great having you here. I don't know if you have anything more that you would like to pass across. You have done a great job for Tapang Ivo over the years, and in an extension to Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians. Is there any word you got for them? Those of them who have fallen victims to unscrupulous people like this.
Well, that's what I'm hired to do, and I'm happy to help people out.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for being part of the show tonight. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Chris. My pleasure also.
All right, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, when I come back, I will bring you my monologue, second monologue on this subject of Nsalai suing Tapang Ivo suing Nsalai. Please do not touch your remote. I will be right back.
Thrive America, the flagship model, offers Thrive America resource on your phone to newly arrived individuals.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was Attorney Curtis Edmondson. He is the attorney for Tapang Ivo, representing him in the Tapang Ivo versus Emmanuel Nsalai. You heard it from the lawyer himself. Now, my monologue on that subject. Today, we delve into a story that intertwines legal malpractice, political machinations, and familiar corruption. A narrative that underscores the perils of power wielded without accountability. At the center of this maelstrom stands Emmanuel Nsalai, a US-based Cameroonian attorney whose actions have sparked controversy and legal battles both domestically and internationally. Emmanuel Nsalai, known for his alignment with the regime in Cameroon, Paul Biya's regime, has recently found himself ensnared in a $100,000 defamation lawsuit. The plaintiff, Tapang Ivo, a US-based Southern Cameroonian Ambazonian activist, alleges that Nsalai falsely labeled him a terrorist in communication disseminated to various media outlets and government agencies in the USA. This lawsuit not only challenges the veracity of Nsalai's claims, but also questions the ethical boundaries of legal advocacy. The controversy doesn't end there. The Nsalai law firm, under Emmanuel's direction, has been accused of urging U.S. immigration authorities to deport Ambazonian activists, individuals advocating for the independence of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Critics, however, argue that these actions are not only defamatory, but also serve as tools of political repression, aiming to silence dissenting voices through legal intimidation. Adding another layer to this intricate web is the conviction of Emmanuel's sister, Rose Marie Nsalai. In March 2023, ladies and gentlemen, a U.S. federal jury found her guilty of conspiracy, bank fraud, and money laundering. Rose Marie and her husband fraudulently obtained over $2.5 million in Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, loans by fabricating payroll documentation for non-existent employees. These funds, intended to support struggling businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic, were instead diverted for personal luxuries, including a down payment on a lavish 7,000 square foot residence and a plane, a jet. The familiar ties to controversy extend further. The late Christopher Nsalai, father to Emmanuel and Rose Marie, served as Cameroon's ambassador to the Central African Republic and later as Minister of Transport. His tenure was marked by allegations of misappropriation and corruption, painting a portrait of a family deeply entrenched in dubious dealings. This confluence of legal challenges and ethical questions surrounding the Nsalai family raises critical concerns about the misuse of legal systems for personal and political gain. It underscores the necessity for scrutiny and integrity within the legal profession, especially when the actions of a few can have far-reaching implications on justice and public trust. Emmanuel Nsalai's actions in the United States extend beyond mere legal representation. They expose a far more troubling reality: his apparent role as an unregistered foreign agent for the Cameroon government. By persistently targeting Ambazonian activists, coordinating defamatory campaigns, and pressuring U.S. immigration authorities to deport pro-independence figures, Nsalai is effectively acting as an extension of the Bia's regime's oppressive machinery on U.S. soil. Under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, individuals who engage in political activities on behalf of a foreign government must formally register with the U.S. Department of Justice. There is no public record whatsoever that Emmanuel Nsalai has done so. If this is indeed the case, he could be in violation of U.S. law, exposing himself to potential criminal and civil liabilities. The ramifications of these cannot be overstated. Failing to register as a foreign agent is a serious offense that has led to prosecutions in the past, particularly when such activities involve disinformation and attempts to manipulate American institutions. The potential victory of Tapang Ivo's defamation lawsuit against Emmanuel Nsalai could also set a groundbreaking legal precedent for Ambazonians in the diaspora who have suffered similar attacks, including yours truly. A successful ruling against Emmanuel Nsalai would establish in the eyes of the U.S. judiciary that his statements labeling Ambazonian activists as terrorists were not only false, but maliciously intended to harm. This would open the floodgates for further lawsuits from other defamed Ambazonians, potentially forcing Nsalai to answer for years of legally dubious conduct. Beyond personal accountability, such a defeat could be catastrophic for his legal career. His reputation would be in tatters. his credibility as an attorney compromised, and the California State Bar might be compelled to investigate him for professional misconduct. If his actions as an unregistered foreign agent also come under scrutiny, he could face disbarment, federal charges, and financial ruin. For the Amazonian cause, Tapang Ivor's legal victory would mark a turning point, sending a clear message that even in exile, our voices will not be silenced, and those who seek to destroy us through legal trickery and falsehoods will be held accountable. That is my monologue on this subject, ladies and gentlemen. All right, at this moment, I am going to open the phone lines and take your calls. Hear from you. Let me know your take from what you heard from the lawyer and, of course, from my monologue. Many of you out there already have the phone number to call in. So you go ahead and call in. I don't have a lot of time to spend here tonight. I'm just going to take your phone calls and call it a night. Okay. So the phone line again is open. You can go ahead and call and bring in your contributions to the broadcast tonight. All right, again, ladies and gentlemen, the phone line is right there on the screen. Before you call, make sure that you turn down the volume of your television set. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Anu, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas, precisely. It's a pleasure to be back here. Thanks for tuning in as usual. Please, if you are watching by way of the social media, that is Facebook or YouTube, go ahead, hit that share button. And let everybody know that the anchor man is not just live. He is indeed alive. You can see me and probably touch me from your screen. Thank you for tuning in from North America, Europe, South America, of course, the far and the near east, and wherever you find yourself watching by way of the internet. And for those of you watching all over Africa by way of satellite, good evening. Always a pleasure to come to you. Tonight, I come to you with a very, very excited subject to discuss, of course, as usual. And again, I expect for you watching by way of the social media, do your part, hit your share button as I come back really quick to give you insight into what I bring to you today. I'll be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com.